on, everyone, and welcome back to the second episode of Backyard Banter. My name is Jonathan Shields, and I'm joined again by Tanner Sterrett and James Keck. How are you guys doing today?
Good, doing great.
Yeah, doing well.
Before we get into the content for today, we'd all just like to thank everyone that showed support for the first one. It did much better than any of us thought. It was awesome. A lot of kind words from everyone. So thank you. Every single thing, every single listen means a lot to me. I know it means a lot to them as well. So thank you to everyone who listened, and thank you to everyone who came back for the second episode.
Round two.
But today we're gonna start to get into our college football predictions. As Tanner told us in our group chat, we're going to go geographically in order. So I think we should just get right into it. We're going to start with the ACC today. Definitely a weird conference, in my opinion. But so do you guys just want to each go one by one and just kind of do it, or switch off and what?
We can switch off. I'll just kind of give a brief little preview of what I think the conference looks like. So they do have three teams in the preseason top 25. Florida State is ranked 8th, Clemson 9, and North Carolina 21. Then there's four more teams receiving votes: Pitt, Louisville, Duke, and NC State. Some of the better players in the conference will be Will Shipley, the Clemson running back, Jordan Travis, Florida State quarterback, and Drake May, UNC quarterback. The ACC is going to be kind of a three-team race, I would imagine, for the two teams to make the ACC championship game. A lot of people think Florida State and Clemson have what it takes to make the playoff. North Carolina might kind of be around there, but probably not. And yeah, I mean, 4 through 10 in this conference, or basically 4 through 8, 4 through 10, kind of around that area is kind of just a toss-up. So you have these three favorites, and then you got about 6 or 7 teams all that are kind of on an equal playing field after that. So it could be interesting. This conference is a lot deeper than usual, and so yeah. James, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it on the head. You're going to have Clemson. You're going to have Florida State. I think if you think Clemson's going to have another down year, it's just mistaken, because the Dabo effect is real. I really think he needs to get back to winning. Otherwise, I don't know if job security is a concern for him, but he needs to win. He needs to, especially against the weak ACC. There's only 2-3 teams, but I tell you what, the team that looks good to me is Louisville. I know there's some question marks there. I do still believe it's a 2-team race, but you look at Louisville's schedule, they don't have to play Clemson. They don't have to play Florida State. They don't have to play North Carolina this year. So you couldn't draw a better schedule for them. They've got a lot of new offensive pieces with a new coach hire. We'll see how he can transition from Big Ten football to ACC football, but weak Big Ten football. But that's just a dig on Purdue. But whatever. But yeah, we'll see. They've got a lot of new pieces, new quarterback, new receivers to kind of see. Obviously, they've had plenty of time to gel and everything, but I think Louisville is a team that could run the table just because of schedule. I think schedule is a big thing, but I think Clemson's got it. So.
Yeah, I completely agree with James. Avoiding the three big dogs in the ACC really kind of sets you up to do some damage. And I don't really know the ACC how that happened, because they're in the same division as Florida State and Clemson. So I feel like you should have to play them.
There's no divisions this year in the ACC.
Are you serious? I did not know that.
Yeah, it's just like the Big 12. You just play a random schedule, and 1 and 2 in the conference make the championship.
Yeah, I like that. Anyway, we're on the subject of sleeper teams. I guess not so sleeper because they had a good year last year is Duke. Their first 9-win season in almost 10 years last year. They returned their quarterback, Riley Leonard, but last year they avoided the big dogs, kind of like Louisville did. They didn't have to play LSU or Clemson. This year they do. So let's see if they can kind of build off that 9-win season. And you guys said it was a down year for Clemson. I mean, I would say for Florida, I'd take a down year of them winning the SEC, because Clemson still won the ACC last year.
Yeah.
Yes, it wasn't the dominant Clemson we imagined. Yes, DJ Uiagalelei wasn't that good, which led to Cade Klubnik, who only threw 2 touchdowns last year. But they have a new offense coordinator. Garrett Riley comes in, if that name sounds familiar, because it's Lincoln Riley's brother. And they're saying a lot of very promising things about him. But the thing with Clemson is, what have all the good Clemson teams had in common? Their good defensive line. And they lost 3 draft picks to the defensive line coming in. Now they have a lot of high-rated recruits and all that stuff. But we'll have to see how that kind of merges coming in. Their linebacking core, very strong. But again, it's all on Cade Klubnik. It's more so in the NFL, but a lot in college, which is why Florida State concerns me and why I think North Carolina has a shot. You need special at quarterback in order to really kind of be competitive. More so in the NFL. College, if you have a good team and a good defense, you could win it over some of those Alabama teams in the early playoff era that did really well. Didn't have really an NFL quarterback at all. But definitely I had a very hard time picking this conference. It is just a toss-up. And the thing that might come back to bite Clemson is their unwillingness to go in the transfer portal. And their season is essentially September 23rd against Florida State. Yes, they play Notre Dame. Yes, they have other very hard schedules or games on their schedule. But they get a lot of their hard games at home. Florida State's at home. James, if I'm not mistaken, Notre Dame is at home in Clemson. Like, they get a lot of their games. They got to protect home field, and if they do that, I mean, they'll be set up pretty nice.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the defensive line. You know, Tyler Davis is a big body down there, and I think you nailed it on the head, though. If you get good quarterback play in all football, I think it sets you up for success. I mean, you look at this past Georgia team, right? Stetson Bennett, who by no means was a stud quarterback, right? But they were good from position 1 to position 22, right? So they were good from all sides of the ball. So you nailed it on the head. I don't know. I agree. I don't think Clemson has that in terms of secondary. Maybe they might be there, but the defensive line has got some question marks. But I mean, if Cade can go out there and just be the guy that he kind of showed that he was late season, early spring ball, then I think Clemson's going to run away with this conference. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I like your point about Duke, Johnny, because they're an interesting team. Last year, winning 9 games, like you said, and I had a hard time like figuring out a path for them to get to 8 or 9 wins this year, just because their schedule is so difficult. I mean, you look at week 1, and right from the bat, I think this is one of the biggest games in the whole conference this year is Clemson at Duke week 1 on a Monday night.
Yeah.
That is a big game because, like you had mentioned, Duke is no pushover. It's week 1. You know, they're going to be ready to play, and it's at Duke. So, interesting game right from the jump there. Some other big conference games here. You got Florida State at Clemson, North Carolina at Clemson, and like you mentioned, Clemson has all their big games at home. They benefit from that. However, they do got to go to South Carolina late, who I think is going to be pretty good. North Carolina plays South Carolina week 1. And then probably the biggest game for the playoff outlook in this conference comes on week 1 as well when Florida State plays LSU. They're ranked 8th and 5th preseason, so big game there. But my prediction for the ACC this year, I agree about quarterback play, and I think Drake May is going to carry UNC in the regular season against a little bit of a lighter schedule, 11-1 loss at Clemson, and then I think they avenged their loss in the ACC title game, and I think they're going to give themselves a shot to make the college football playoff. I know it's a hot take. It could look stupid, but I love Drake May. I think he's going to be in the Heisman race all year, and I think he carries his team to an ACC title. And so, yeah, my pick is the Tar Heels. I like Drake May a lot.
I'm going to tell you why North Carolina will not win the conference. Last year, anyone want to guess how bad their defense was?
It was bad. It was
on
really,
yards
really
per
bad.
game, they were 116th in the FBS in yards per game. There's not that many more FBS teams after that. A defense doesn't go from one of the worst in college football to a top 20 unit just like that. They don't. And yes, Drake May is him. And another big thing in their schedule, as Tanner said, they avoid FSU. So their one big game at Clemson, Like they could lose that, as Tanner said, kind of avenge that. But I don't think when your defense is that like kind of historically bad, you can go out there and expect to win the conference. But if Drake May, far and away the best quarterback in this conference, I don't even think it's close. And going back on Florida State real quick, their first 4 weeks are brutal. Brutal first 4 weeks. Having to play LSU that first week and then bookending it with at Clemson in the fourth week, that is brutal. And I said it earlier, is Jordan Travis special enough to games on the line? It's going to happen. Is he going to go make a play? He killed Florida last year. I've seen it firsthand. They return a lot of their production with their wide receivers. And another team that I don't think we're talking about enough is Miami. Tyler Van Dyke in 2022 averaged 325 passing yards a game. Now, that dropped almost 100 yards in 2023, but new offensive coordinator, an insane recruiting class. Yes, they're going to be very good the year after, but could they come up a year early and kind of make some noise? But for my prediction, again, I was going back and forth on this the whole time between Clemson and Florida State, and I literally wrote on my paper right here, Clemson or Florida State. I still haven't made up my mind. And it would pain me as a Gator fan to pick Florida State. But, man, they returned Jared Verse, too, who's going to be a first-round pick if he would have went to the draft. He comes back, too. So it kind of pains me to say, but Florida State's going to win the ACC.
Yeah, I like the pick, and I could very well see them doing that. For me, it comes down to, can they win one of those two games against LSU and Clemson? Because if they do, they probably will. I mean, the Clemson game's bigger because it's a conference game, but
if they lose,
if they win one of those, then yeah.
If
they win one of those, they'll make the playoff, or they'll be in the race for it.
Yeah, until they lose in the swamp the last game of the year.
Yeah,
and Clemson's got a tough road too. I mean, can you hear me? Yeah, so I just think Clemson playing Notre Dame.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, Clemson playing Notre Dame. Obviously, I'm an Irish fan, so I'm a little biased, but that's just as big as Florida State LSU. They played each other in the past couple of years. When COVID happened, right, and Notre Dame was in the ACC that 1 year, just in terms of making everything easy. They played Notre Dame. Clemson played twice that year. I think that's going to be a huge game. I think Florida State loses to LSU. So I think Florida State, like Johnny said, they're a great team to pick. I am picking Clemson, but again, my sleeper is Louisville still. We'll see how the offense can gel together and see what happens. So, go Tigers.
I like that we all picked a different team. Good.
Yeah, that was good.
Job. We all picked a different team. And when we get to the SEC prediction, you're going to know this. LSU will finish the season unranked. That's going to be my hot take. We'll get more into that when we get into the SEC predictions. But anyway, just an early kind of snapshot of that. So, yeah, that's our ACC. I have Florida State. Tanner has North Carolina. James has Clemson. I think there's a high chance that one of us is right. And I really hope it's not me. So, because that would be painful, and my mom would never let me hear the end of it. But, yeah, nothing new since our last talk about conference realignment. I have a funny story for you guys. I was telling Lauren about the conference realignment, and she was like, oh, the Pac-12 should get Illinois State because she goes to ISU. And I was like, they very might well with the way that they're trending. Yeah. But nothing new on that front. Yeah. Nothing new on that front. Obviously, some rumors about Stanford going to the Big Ten, and I don't want to say in the week that I've warmed up to it, but I was watching highlights of an old Gator game, and ABC used to broadcast the SEC championship way back in the '90s and early 2000s. I was like, okay, that kind of looks weird, but I guess it was the old normal. And 5 years from now, this could very well be the new normal.
Yeah.
And, I think we just lost James.
Dang it.
Well, hopefully,
he's trying to come back in.
Yeah.
There he is.
But yeah, we can kind of go toward NFL. We didn't get to talk about any NFL last week because the conference realignment took up so much of our talk. But the Bears in action over the weekend. If you look at Justin Fields' stat line, you think he's going to win the MVP. Little do you know, DJ Moore kind of bailed him out in that long play. I only watched the highlights. I'm sure you guys watched the whole game, so if you guys want to go dive into the Bears real quick, go ahead.
Yeah, I can start us off. Justin Fields, he didn't do anything special. Obviously, the stat line looks like he did, but he did what he needed to. The first pass for 11 yards, he hit a check down. He went through his progression, and it went for 11 yards. And then the other plays, his playmakers made plays. On one of them, he kind of avoided a sack. I think not too many players in the league don't take a sack there, so that was impressive to get out of that and get it to Herbert. But no, Bears look good. Offensively, have my concerns defensively. It was just such a joy to see the playmakers make plays like that. The Bears were dead last in yards after the catch last year, and you can call Justin Fields a yak merchant all you want and hate on him, but listen, I hope he's a yak merchant all year long. That's a luxury we didn't have last year, and it just shows we have more talent already, so that was exciting. Defense could have been a little bit better. Malik Willis went and scored on us right away, which was not fun, but our defense isn't supposed to be great. It's supposed to be average, and average defenses are going to give up touchdowns. So, that's my thoughts, kind of. James?
Can you actually hear me now? I'm having some internet
you're good.
issues. Okay. All right, good. I don't want to say too much about the Bears. I think Bears fans, we get so drawn in preseason because, sure, we win some games. I mean, we could win the same amount of preseason games as we did regular season games last year, right? Like, that's just what the Bears do. I will say this though: the DJ Moore and Justin Fields effect is real. I'm buying stock in that now. Still not 100% sold on Justin Fields, but I am 100% sold on DJ Moore. Obviously, he's the real deal. So we'll see what Justin Fields can do. I think I like the additions that we've made. The defense, I've got issues with it still. I'm with Tanner there, but we just claimed that linebacker. Where did he come from? Atlanta, right?
Atlanta.
Walker. Yeah.
Mike Walker, yeah.
He had 100. He's a guy that's played 3 seasons now. He was drafted in 2020. He had 100+ tackles last year, so he's not a guy that you're just going to roll out there and feel like, all right, he's a stud linebacker, but he's going to be a good addition. I do think the Bears scheme uses linebackers very well, so they could turn a mediocre, average linebacker in the NFL into somebody who's going to play, maybe 13 starts or whatever it is. So we'll see what they've got planned for Walker. The Johnson running back, I think he has showed his ability to be a power back, and I think it's something that could be used. I think Herbert is the big guy for us this year to see what he can do, but Johnson showed his ability to be able to rush, block, and they used him a ton on special teams. So to have a big back like that, I think is exciting, but again, the DJ Moore, Justin Fields effect is real. So if Justin Fields can stay healthy, pass the ball like he did, again, 3 for 3, but if he can pass like that, then I think we're going to be setting this in a bad division, setting us up for success. So,
yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
And
you can go, Tanner.
I was just going to shout out the offensive line real quick because I think our offensive line looks really good, and that's something that has been mentioned and needs to because it was so bad last year. So I think our offensive line, as of now, looks like it could be a top 10 unit in the league. I think it is a top half unit, top 15, and I think it could very well be a top 10 unit in the league. So that's it. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I thought when I brought up that Bears question, I thought Tanner was gonna say they're going to the Super Bowl. But it's very nice that you guys kind of have mild expectations. So you guys will kind of come to realize Tanner is usually up here when it comes to Chicago sports. James is more down here, and I'm the realist. Like, the Bears will probably win 6 or 7 games this year. Maybe the NFC is really bad. They might sneak into one of the wild card spots. But I just think it's kind of comical how everyone overreacts to the first week of the preseason.
Yeah.
Like, everyone does. Like, all of a sudden, Kenny Pickett plays against the Bucs' second-team defense, and he's going to be MVP. And the Bucs suck. I don't even really want to talk about them. But it goes on throughout the league. Like, there's just one account on Twitter that goes, oh, Garrett Wilson is an absolute beast this week, and does it about a new player like every day. But about the Bucs, yeah, I mean it's the most boring QB competition maybe ever. Like, neither of these guys are going to be the starter next year, or I hope so. I like both of them. Obviously, Kyle Trask come from Florida. I was a big Baker guy when he was at Oklahoma. But, like, here's what's going to happen. Baker's going to start. He's going to go 1-3 in his first 4 games. Kyle Trask is going to come in and start for the next 5, maybe go 1-4, and then it'll be back and forth from there. But the NFC South is so bad, and the Bucs everywhere else really good skill possession. Offensive line is a work in progress, but Tristan Wirfs, one of the best at what he does. Defensive line, you got Vita Vea. They got 2 good corners. Antoine Winfield is back in the safety. They got Devin White and Levante David at linebacker. Like, I mean, it was like when Tom Brady came. They're a quarterback away from being really good. But the thing I do not want the Bucs to do this year is be 6-11 and have the 12th pick. I want them to either go all out and win the division, or if they're 1-6 through 7 weeks, punt on the season. Trade Devin White, who demanded a trade earlier, and go get Caleb Williams. Because Mike Evans hopefully still has a few more years in his prime. Chris Godwin is a stud. He still has a few more years under contract. If the Bucs get out to a slow start, because I don't think they answer their quarterbacks in the room right now. If they get out to a slow start and they finish 5-12 and have the 7th pick, I'm going to be furious. Because the 7th pick, there's a big difference between Quinn Ewers, in my opinion, and Caleb Williams. Everyone's talking about how there's 4-5 QBs in this draft. People are talking about Michael Penix in Washington. If he was that good, this QB class is better than the one last year, or maybe about the same. If he was that good, he would have cleared last year. People were talking about him as a top 15 pick. I don't see it. I think it's Drake May, Caleb Williams, and if the Bucs can't get one of those two, like, what's the point of going 6-11? You're stuck in mediocrity, as they were for the 10 years before that. But they have more than enough talent to win the division. People are all on Derek Carr and the Saints, and that's a very good pickup. Bryce Young and the Panthers, whatever's going on in Atlanta with Desmond Ridder. The Bucs are in a sneaky good position. No one's talking about them, which is fine. But they're in a sneaky good position to go 9-8 and host a playoff game if they just have average quarterback play.
Yeah, I kind of thought about the Bucs pretty deeply so far this offseason because I kind of agree with you. I like their defense. Their defense is going to be one of the best units in the league. It has been for almost 5 years now. And I kind of like Baker Mayfield. I know he struggled in Cleveland and he kind of bounced around last year, but he looked good towards the end of the year. And listen, Mike Evans, I think Mike Evans is a great receiver. Even before Tom Brady, he consistently put up 1,000-yard seasons. He still got Chris Godwin, and who knows, maybe the offensive line can be better. I like Baker Mayfield, and I like the Bucs a lot. And one thing I couldn't stop thinking about when you're talking about the Bucs is how they play the Bears week 2.
Yeah,
and
week 2.
All offseason, everybody thinks that this week 2 game, the Bears, is like going to be should be a win. And I've always thought since the schedule came out, like week 2 in Tampa, that's a place the Bears struggle, and Tampa's still got a great defense. I'm not expecting the Bears to win that game in week 2, and I haven't. I don't understand why Bears fans think that way. I think Tampa will get us week 2, so that's just a little preview. I know
it's going to be hot in Tampa week 2.
It is, yeah.
Middle of September. Oh my goodness! The Bucs
can't even imagine
where they wear their white jerseys until October at home. So the Bears are going to be showing up in their dark blue jerseys. Oh, that sun is going to get them. But I guess I was kind of negative on my take about the Bucs. That was more of just if they do bad, I'd rather have them punt on the season to go get Caleb Williams than to finish 6-11. But if the Bucs win the division, go 9-8, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, if the thing with Baker and why he's bouncing around as kind of a journeyman quarterback now, it's because he leads the league in interceptions since 2017. Like, it is not a surprise. If you don't take care of the ball, you don't win. Tom Brady, surprised at anyone? Took care of the ball. Got the ball out quick. Didn't take sacks. But, yeah, I mean, both of our teams definitely kind of interesting coming up. Any other teams? Dalvin Cook and Ezekiel Elliott just signed. Zeke went to the Patriots. Dalvin Cook went to the Jets. Again, like, they were on the market for so long, I don't really know how big of a move those are. The Patriots have Ramondre Stevenson, so I guess they're going to do kind of a backfield by committee. And the Jets, Breece Hall, coming off the ACL, so they could kind of bring him along more slowly. But is there any other teams that kind of stick out to you guys through the first week of preseason?
I just want to talk about the Saints because they're legit and they're going to win that division, and there's no doubt in my mind on that. I think we talked about the Bucks a little bit. I think I hate to say it, you're going to be a 5-6 win team, and you're going to be in that position. I don't see any world, I don't see any world where you get Caleb Williams without trading a pick and trading your future, because there's no way you're going to be the worst team in football, right?
Like
you have way too much talent.
Quick, but the thing is it happens in the NBA all the time when you're stuck in purgatory, when you're the 10th, 8th, 9th, 10th seed. And I think that is the worst way to do it. If you get the 7th pick, man, you can draft a great right tackle. A right tackle is not winning you a freaking Super Bowl. You go get Caleb Williams or Drake May, then you're kind of in a position to win the Super Bowl. But anyway, not to cut you off.
No, I don't disagree with you at all. I'll be shocked if you're not, I guess, in purgatory, like you say. But I really like the Saints. I think the pickup of Carr is huge. Their defense is, I think, really, 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 really good and deep. And I just think they have so many pieces on the offensive side that, do they have any stud power? Nah, not necessarily, but I think they're good enough to win that weak division. I think every other team in that division is just going to kind of see how it is. They're going to test the waters with the quarterbacks and see what happens, but they're all going to play for a top 5 draft pick. I think the Saints are the only team going into this year all right, let's go win a Super Bowl. I really think they're the only team in that division who's saying that in the locker room right now. So, and I really like them. I liked them last year, and I think they only got better this year. So I like them. I think they're going to be a 10-win team, honestly. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I don't hate that, especially because the Bucks never beat the Saints when Tom Brady was there. They beat them once, twice, and one of the times was in the playoff game. So, I mean, the Saints are always good. It's hard to go into the Superdome and beat them, or the Caesar Palace Dome, whatever it's called now, and beat them. So, I don't think all teams. They always say that it takes 4 or 5 weeks for the bad teams to know that they're bad. So, I think right now, even the Cardinals without Kyler Murray think they can win a Super Bowl. But Tanner, who do you got?
Yeah, I don't necessarily have a team sticking out right now, but I have kind of a player. Everybody's always looking on, the rookie quarterbacks early and which ones, are looking good, all these high first round picks. But which rookie quarterback had the best week 1 preseason?
Don't even kick him out. Kick him out.
Vegas Raiders.
Get him out of here.
No, just a quick shout out.
For those who do not know, Aiden O'Connell he was like the 7th-year quarterback for Purdue last year.
Yeah.
Led them to
33 years old.
Special talent. Yeah. He's about as good as Austin Appleby. For you guys who don't know, Austin Appleby actually transferred from
He's way
Purdue.
Better.
Yeah. They both went to a conference championship and lost.
Stenson Bennett's
anyway,
better. So.
Yeah, we can get into baseball now, but definitely excited. Football season's coming up. A week from this Saturday, college football starts. Notre Dame, James, goes in Ireland and plays. So, I mean, best time of the year coming up. But
for those of you that haven't followed our Twitter and you're like a big Bears fan or maybe even a Colts fan, I will be at the Bears-Colts joint practice on Thursday. And I will be live tweeting the hell of it on our Twitter. So just be
for those, if you want to kind of keep up with a new episode dropping out, anything like that, definitely our Twitter, at Backyard Banter 1 on Twitter. Definitely go check that out and give it a follow. But here we go, transitioning into baseball. Both of our teams, Rays, Cubs, kind of turning around recently. The Rays have won 5 out of 6, 4 out of 5 series coming into they took game 1 of the series last night in San Francisco. But we're not going to get into the Wander Franco news, just too much that we don't know. Obviously kind of a horrible situation for a player that has all the promise in the world and was really one of the best hitters in baseball in the month of August. So Yeah, we don't really have a comment on that just because we don't really know the whole story, so don't want to kind of put out a false narrative, something we don't know. Obviously, we hope for all the best, but for the Rays, biggest news before the Wander news was Shane McClanahan out for the year. And, James and Tanner kind of texted me right away in our group chat. And he's like, man, just cannot catch a break. And before Glasnow pitched last night, 2.5 weeks he didn't pitch. I mean, we have one pitcher from our opening day rotation that's still pitching, and it's Zach Eflin, who gave up 9 runs in 3 innings the other day. So it's almost, as I told you guys, the Rays still have enough talent to win the World Series. But, man, it kind of feels like what a special season that's kind of deflating. And it's kind of hard to say that when you have the 3rd best record in baseball and have 72 wins on August 15th. But, yeah, I mean, I don't really know as much to say. Nothing really changed since last time they talked. They're just kind of figuring out again. And for those of you that don't know about Yandy Diaz, he is the best hitter, besides maybe Shohei Ohtani, Corey Seager, in the American League. He's hitting .322, and all he does is hit. All he does, not only hit, he comes up with big hits. And against Class A the other day, Rays were down by 2 runs in the 9th. Yandy, RBI double, kind of started the rally that eventually the Rays walked it off. But, yeah, I mean, what can you say? I just hope that the Shane McClanahan, he's visiting with the doctor today. Hopefully they can avoid surgery, maybe be back for the playoffs, but I wouldn't count on it. And, like you guys said, it's just kind of hard to kind of see a special season like this just destroyed by injury. But if would it surprise any of you guys if the Rays were in Game 7 of the ALCS?
No.
So, the season's not over. It's not, really, I'm not depressed over here in my sorrows, but yeah, definitely not as confident as I was a month ago. But yeah, we'll see. Still 7 weeks of the regular season left, so plenty of time to kind of see what's going to shake out.
I gotta ask you, Johnny, just real quick. So, assuming you're a wild card, assuming you're the first wild card, who do you want to play?
Anyone but the Astros. Anybody but the Astros. And I know that they'd probably end up playing the Astros, but if anyone but the Astros, because it's kind of silly to think about that a 3-game series, a 5-game series, and 2 7-game series mean more than a 162-game season. But the Rays could win 100 games, be in the wild card, and then get swept by the Mariners, who are on fire right now.
Yeah, they're on fire.
Yeah, if I had to pick a team to play, I mean, all of those teams. You don't want to play a division team. You don't want to play Toronto. You don't want to but number 1 on the list, definitely do not want to play the Astros. And the number 2, probably a mix between Toronto or the Mariners. But yeah, 1 and it's not close. I don't want to see the Astros with Fromber, Verlander coming at you, and you only need to win 2 games. So who else would you rather have win 2 games than those 2 guys? So, yeah.
Yeah,
they're unreal. I just think, I think the game that Johnny, you and I went to, I think Zach Eflin pitched. I think, if I'm not mistaken, and he is a strikeout. I think
Taj Bradley pitched that game. The 19-1
That's right. Yeah,
game.
That's right. No, we didn't. I didn't want to bring up the score. I didn't bring it up.
The only game that James ever been to Tropicana Field was 19-1.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was incredible. But Zach Eflin is a strikeout machine. I was watching him play against the Cardinals, I think it was, when he had 10. Did he have 10 against the Cardinals? 9? Yeah, 9 or 10. I think he could. I mean, is he good enough to be a number 1? No, but is he good enough to maybe get you some big wins? Absolutely. So it is sad. Yeah. It is sad to see
who's good enough to be a number 1 right now. Tyler Glasnow, pitcher of the month of July, went out yesterday, went 6 innings, 1 run, and the thing about Eflin, he has a 51% ground ball rate, which is really good. Soft contact, keeping on the ground. His last start kind of an outlier. But, no, don't get me wrong. With the addition of Savali, the dude from the Indians in the trade deadline, with Glasnow, Zach Littell, another kind of success story, picked him up off waivers with originally a bullpen arm. Now he's a good starter. It's just kind of the Rays' way. So the Rays still have insane talent in the bullpen. in the bullpen, and with the rotation and in the bullpen. But Tyler Glasnow is pitching on a different kind of level right now. And, I mean, if he keeps doing that, then, yeah, the Rays still could be dangerous. But go ahead, talk about the Cubs. What do we got?
Tanner, you want to go?
Yeah, I'll go. They had a road trip last week out east. They played the Mets and Blue Jays. Went 3-3, so we're not really going to complain about that. 500 on the road gets it done over the course of the whole season. Brewers gained a game on us last week. However, this is a massive week for the Cubs because you look at who you play and you look at who the Brewers play, and if you don't come out of this week getting at least a game on the Brewers, then something's wrong. I mean, the Cubs play the White Sox at home for 2, and then the Royals at home this weekend. I'll be in the rooftops on Sunday for one of those. Can't wait. But the Brewers go out west. They play the Dodgers and they play the Rangers. So you look at your schedule and you look at the Brewers' schedule, you say you have to get at least a game here. And then you look at who the Brewers play next week and who you play the next week, and it's the same thing. They should be gaining at least a game this week, at least a game next week. And next thing you know, you're a game and a half back and you're playing the Brewers. So big 2 weeks coming up here. You have to take care of these teams that aren't very good, especially teams like the White Sox and Royals who are just dead. And I know the Royals are playing better of late, but still it's at home.
Royals are playing good baseball right now. Bobby
Yeah,
Witt's on another world, but just for everyone to know, how many games back are the Cubs right now in the division?
3.5.
Yeah, 3.5.
And they're a game out of a wild card. So, yeah. But 3-3 week, and Stroman should be back Wednesday, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Big question mark there. We need him to be a good Marcus Stroman, but that's about all I got. I mean, average week, you take it on the road.
Yeah, I think Marcus Stroman will come back. I just love his energy. When I look and I watch Marquee Network, right, and they show the dugout and everything, Marcus Stroman's just brings such energy, right, to the Cubs team. And so him to be back on the mound is huge for us. And so I think he's going to come back with energy. And my notes here, I wrote, Brewers will show who they are on this road trip. Because like you pointed out, Tanner, to go to LA, tough, right? Tough. To go to Texas, tough, right? Then you play the Twins, right? Who are good, right? They're winning their division. Yeah. They're a really good team. Then you go to a Padres team who is loaded with talent, right? And I don't know the pitching matchups yet, but if you fall on a good rotation for the Padres, there's no reason that the Padres can't win that series, right? And then, like you said, exactly, I think the Cubs could be winning the division by the time we face them, and by the end of next week. I mean, realistically, with how weak our schedule is, to think that they're not going to lose 4 games isn't that crazy. I mean, it's easy to lose a couple to the Dodgers, lose 1 or 2 to the Rangers, lose 1 or 2 to the Twins, lose 1 or 2 to the Padres, So the Cubs need to take care of what they have, right? Just because you have an easy schedule does not mean anything, right? You need to go take care of Kansas City, take care of Detroit, take care of the White Sox tonight and tomorrow. But I think the Cubs have a really good shot. We're 3.5 back. And I think another thing I want to point out about the MLB is I think you're really starting to see separation this year from division winners and teams in second. For example, the Rays are the closest team to the team in front of them, right? And they're 3 games back.
By the way, isn't that crazy that I don't know how many wins better the Rays are than the Cubs? Probably close to 8, 9, 10. And they're one of 3.
More than that, yeah.
And they're one of 3 teams with 70 wins, and they're second place in the division. Yeah. There was a thing that I saw the other day where it was perfectly lined up, the AL East and the AL Central, and the Yankees would be leading the AL Central. And the Yankees suck. Like, that's just kind of to prove how this new change of schedule, only playing each team 12, 13 times and playing instead of 17 and playing every team that MLB has kind of showed that the AL East is a bloodbath. And it's kind of helped out, teams like the Central. And, definitely excited to, see the Cubs. I always kind of root for the sports teams up there because obviously I go to college up there. I'd love to see the Cubs in the postseason kind of get Wrigley rocking again. But, unless you guys got anything else, we can go into our next segment of
I got like one last thing. I
Go
was
Crazy.
listening to 670 The Score last night, and my guy Gabe Ramirez, big White Sox fan, was on last night, but he was talking about the Cubs' schedule, and he made a great point, and he couldn't be more correct. The Cubs' last 6 games are all on the road, like last 6 games of the season, and it's Atlanta and Milwaukee.
Ooh,
So
So dumb.
you have to have at least a couple game lead on somebody in the wild card or the Brewers if you want to make the playoffs going into those last 6 games.
yeah, but
So
Atlanta's going to be so
that
far
makes
ahead, they might not even play anyone.
yeah. They might be so far ahead they might not be playing anybody, but they're still going to be good.
Yeah.
So that makes this week even bigger. You have to get up on the Brewers as quickly as possible because that last 6 games can get very, very sketchy if you're behind or need to win games to get in the playoffs. So
For sure.
just a thought there.
For sure. Anything else, James, on the Cubs?
All I know is I think the way the season's going to end is me and Tanner might have to look at our schedules and make a drive up to Milwaukee because we might watch the Cubs win the division. And Milwaukee,
I'd go with you. I want to go to Milwaukee.
yeah, you know what I mean. Like the season's shaping up too. If the Cubs can, I know they're hot, right? And we're very happy. We're on a high right now. If the Cubs can continue to play Cubs baseball and the Brewers continue to play good baseball as well, you're going to find the Cubs and the Brewers hopefully neck and neck, come game 159 or game 160. And then you're going to find the series in Milwaukee to be the biggest series of the year. And me and Tanner and Johnny and whoever else wants to get up there, then we're going up there and we're going to make it happen. So.
But yeah, all good stuff. Kind of talked a lot of baseball last time about the other teams, so kind of just a brief overview of our teams. We're going to do another edition of Legendary and Shambles for this week. Had a lot of good ones last week. And quickly to kind of talk about our schedule for we're going to be dropping these. Until we get in person, they're going to be once a week. So I move back in 10 days, so you're going to have one for this week, one for next week, and then after that, the rest will be in person. They'll be multiple times a week. So just, our schedule kind of move forward for that. And then, anyway, Legendary and Shambles. James Keck, who was in Shambles this week?
So I actually wrote this last night, and then I looked in an Instagram group chat that Tanner and I are in, and he sent what I'm going to put in Shambles in the group chat last night. And kind of whatever, because it's kind of all over social media. I'm sure you've seen it, Johnny, but it was the guy who placed a parlay, okay? It was a $10 parlay to win $995,000, right? And it was all like Giants to win and under. It was a crazy parlay, right?
Yeah.
The last leg was the Yankees to win, and they blew a 7-3 lead in the 9th inning to lose to the Marlins. And the guy lost. The guy lost $10 technically, but he also lost $1 million.
Yeah, that is just utter shambles.
That is utter shambles, and he's still in shambles right now. So.
I bet.
What do you do after that? What do you
quit?
do?
You call 1-800-GAMBLER and you quit gambling. You have to quit.
Yeah. Tanner, what do you got?
In Shambles, I'm going to go with Trey Lance. That dude, he was a 3rd overall pick, and he might get cut. He's that bad. I don't even know what to say other than, the 49ers mess it up, and Trey Lance is one of the biggest busts ever as of now to me.
I'll tell you what.
I mean, that's about it.
Them getting Brock Purdy kind of saved John Lynch in that entire front office.
It did.
Because they gave a haul. And did you see what the Dolphins turned those draft picks into? It was Tyreek Hill,
haven't seen the full
Bradley Chubb, because they traded them, and then they got a top-end player with the other first-round pick. So it's kind of like, Brock Purdy kind of saved you, and we'll see how good he is this year coming off the elbow surgery. But even Sam Darnold looks incredible. They just have a factory over there in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Anyway, my in shambles are both of the New York baseball teams. The Mets with the highest payroll in the history of ever in baseball, or in any sport really, because no other team every other league has a salary cap, and they come in and just continue to disappoint. I mean, I want to know how it feels for Steve Cohen seeing a team like the Rays and all their homegrown talent, not having spent any money, just year in and year out, just be one of the best teams in baseball. And then when you go high up into the luxury tax and spend all this money on the team, and for your team to suck, just must be brutal. And the Yankees, I mean, it puts a smile on my face to see the Yankees, to see Clay Holmes melt down against the Marlins, puts a smile on my face. And back to the Mets, this leads me into my legendary team. I'll go first. We'll kind of snake it back around. Is the Atlanta Braves are just legendary. The beatdown that they put on the Mets in the first game of the doubleheader, it was also like the first day of preseason. It was like, happy first day of preseason. It was all the scores, and there was a 21-3 score. It looked like a football score. And then backing off that, Matt Olson, different level right now. In August, he's been probably the best player in baseball. I saw something. If he would be hitting in August like he would all year, which no one does. Everyone gets hot, everyone gets cold. He would have 87 home runs and 227 RBIs. To kind of just put into perspective how hot he is right now. The Atlanta Braves, I mean, double-digit lead in the division, unheard of. It's August. There's still 7 weeks left. They could win that division by 20 games. Probably not, but just kind of put the scope just how dominant they are. So yeah, Tanner, what do you got?
Legendary moment, I'm going to go Michael Lorenzen. First home start as a Philly, no-hitter.
Yeah.
That was electric. On like 125 pitches, too.
And
like,
you don't see that anymore.
Absurd.
It's crazy.
You don't. So shout out to him. Not, anytime a no-hitter happens, you're in the books, history books, and
Yes,
first home start as a Philly, and you do. That's pretty impressive. And the Phillies had one of the longest droughts of a no-hitter of any franchise. It had been like 8 years since Cole Hamels did it.
I know the Rays haven't done it recently, ever since Matt Garza. But yeah, that atmosphere. That atmosphere was incredible in Philly. So yeah, James, talk to us. What do you got?
So I went golf here. Bring you back to talk about some golf here. Legendary moment, Lucas Glover. I don't know if you guys watched any of it this past weekend. So he won back-to-back weeks and won $5 million.
James,
in the last.
Come back.
No, you can't hear me.
You got 2 minutes.
You can't hear me.
There you go. We're good now.
Restart. Try again.
Restart. We're going with golf, Lucas Glover. Okay. I don't know if you guys watched any of it, but he went back-to-back, won $5 million in the last 2 weeks. I don't know if you guys understand how the FedEx Cup playoffs work or anything like that, but he was 112th going into the Wyndham Championship last week. Won, moved him into the top 50, and then he won this week, and now he's fourth. So he's in fourth place after being 112th, right?
Awesome.
So he won in a playoff against Patrick Cantley. He's 43 years old, okay? He won, the U.S. Open in 2010 maybe, and then won the John Deere in 2020, and hasn't won since. And he goes out and wins back-to-back weeks, collects a $5 million paycheck, and is now in fourth place in the FedEx Cup heading into Olympia Fields in Chicago. So that is a legendary moment for a 43-year-old to take on the field. And in Memphis when it was 105 degrees and he was sweating through his pants. So legendary moment, Lucas Glover.
Yeah, not a bad week getting that far up, and the $5 million paycheck doesn't hurt either. So yeah, we're gonna. That's it for us today. Thank you again if you made it all the way through, and again, thank you for the support on the last one. Any text that we got, any comments on the TikTok, anything like that. Another thing, check us out on TikTok. We post clips on there as well. Shout out to Tanner for cutting those up, putting them up there. And then, we got to get out of here before James continues to lag like he is. But
my bad.
You good. It happens to the best of us. But thank you guys for watching, listening all the way through. We're trying to figure out the Apple Podcast and the Spotify, so that should happen within weeks, so it's not just on YouTube. But again, thank you guys for watching.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it. We'll see you.